a hard work. When man do them a work at the till than you man, them a Jamaican look and see man, they say money come to them, they ask him what is they say. I don't know me work hard. Work hard, tell you my time I go in a night time, not in the pillar. The pillar want come to me and I can't go to it. Jesus Christ. God me have to ask Santa for to help me. Without God we can't work. Without God we can't talk, young man. You better put your plea in on God. And them a work, but if you get saved to and go to God in a man, I want hard work. You know, pretty. You know, pretty at all. Jesus Christ. For me, me happy day. And see them in and pray. Not even me call upon God, me no go on for me knees so hard. Not even me go on so hard for now, me call upon God. And see the boy, Strawberry gone for me. Jesus Christ have mercy. Me have to give you a lot of long some sweet boy when you get up a man in time. We can't hit. We can't sleep. As you pray that my time in your life, you have to get back in a Strawberry field. Oh God and mercy. Me say my mother and my father help me be a man. I'm sure me one girl. I'm gonna be so hard. I'm gonna be so hard. I'm gonna be one woman. Right over there, I go say to a man they look me. I look come here be hard, you know. Look at Strawberry. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Me tell the nation of Jamaica say, repent. But if you don't repent, I let my Strawberry boy, we know this strength. You have to repent to get this strength. Strawberry hard boy, hard. But me have to give you a lot of thanks and praise.
So you're Jamaican, this is the type of shit you don't believe, man. You see me? This is the type of shit we put in power to dictate our life, man. None of them down free. You're the farmer attack. Online sufferation them are control. You see me? These people get paid for look out for their best interests. The best interest now look out for people that must live in other people's country. See, if they are not slave of them yard, they must slave of other people's country. When we get rid of that piece of shit, we need to look at ourselves in our country, or up and get rid of that piece of shit.
I have said to the employers that there is no greater set of workers in the world than the Jamaican workers. None. I have said repeatedly on every occasion that I've had to speak to workers from Jamaica, and I've said to the employers that there is no greater set of workers in the world than the Jamaican workers. None.
No, I work very closely with offshore workers for the last probably 18 years. Very cautiously, I'll call myself an advocate. That's because although 100% of my effort and concern goes into working with the farm worker, I also work with farmers because I believe that no resolution or solution can be found without two parties communicating. So in cases where it's possible, I step in and I can mediate between the farmer and the farm worker to find solutions, which is great. In other times though, and at this very moment as I'm doing this video, there are farms who are in turmoil. By the way, I'd like to mention to you that this is not based on opinion. Please go ahead, feel free, Google me. You'll see the work that I've done in the community. This video that I'm doing right now is not based on any kind of opinion. This is based on facts that I see with my very own eyes and I work with on a daily basis. At this moment, there are workers from Jamaica mostly living in extreme unfathomable conditions. Okay, so you have people right now, as you're watching this video, who are living in bunkhouses that are overcrowded, not just overcrowded because they need places, extra places to stay, but where they're like mice infested, bug infested, 30 or more people living in a place with only maybe 3 stoves, 3 refrigerators, food going bad, no hot water, bosses who are abusing them mentally, calling them names, verbal abuse going on, insults, degrading, embarrassing people, working conditions where there's sprayers spraying chemical within 50 meters in some cases of workers working. These things are happening, and you'll see in the media and the social media right now that a lot of those, or most of those, are happening on Jamaican farms. Not to say it doesn't happen on other farms, it absolutely does, but mostly on Jamaican farms. I can tell you the reason for that. You don't see it very often. For example, out of all the countries, I'll throw this one out there, on farms where there's Bayesian workers, from people from Barbados. The consulates there, the liaison officers, no, they're not having it. You cannot treat their workers like that. They do their job very well, and you don't see it very often on those farms. Liaison officers are in place to do their job. Simple as that. Now, I'd like to call out the Jamaican liaison. Why? Because you're not doing your job. You are simply not doing your job. And if you were, these people wouldn't be living in these conditions, period, end of story. Now, I work on the other side of that after they've contacted you, Mr. and Mrs. Liaison Officer. They're calling me because they can't get any support from you. I'd like it to be noted that farm workers do pay every day that offshore workers get up and go to work. They pay $5 and change in some cases, most cases, to liaison fees. What that means is that they are paying for your support. Sorry. They are paying for your support. They're paying those fees to use your services. That means that you have a job to do, okay? So do your job, not just because you're getting paid to do it. Do your duty because it's your duty to represent the people from your country who are here living in stress and anxiety and crisis. They're in crisis at this point, okay, on some of these farms. Please let it be noted that there are many to most farms that treat their workers with the most dignity and respect, and they uphold the standards and sometimes go above the employment and living standards, okay? But in these cases, it's usually Jamaican farms that we're seeing these crises in right now, okay? They are living in bad conditions. And let it just be known, and just as a point in fact here, I ask you, how can it be that they're living in these conditions if the Jamaican liaison were doing their job? It's impossible. It is impossible. Because you would have stood up and done something about it. Liaison officers, you know damn well it's happening, and I'm calling each and every one of you out. I can name names in the next video if anybody wants to challenge me on that, because I hear your names consistently, actively doing nothing. Answering your phone, I'm sorry, I'm out of town. I'm sorry, I can't deal with that right now. I'm sorry, I'm not going to support you. It doesn't get better than that, dude. Just suck it up and keep getting back to work. You're standing in meetings with bosses when the social services has come in or there's been complaints. You will stand up in a meeting with the employees and the bosses, and you'll stand beside the boss and you'll tell the guys you need to do better. You will pick up workers who have been fired with no warning. Just because the boss calls you and says, come and pick up this worker, I don't want him working here. You liaison officers will come and pick up the worker without any communication, no chance to speak, no nothing. You'll pick them up and take them to the airport. Screw up their livelihood just like that because the boss calls you to do it. Oh, the boss. You're working for the boss. How's that happening that you have a blind eye to this farm that's in turmoil, this farm that's treating their workers bad? How is it possible that when Service Canada's been in, done their report, you stand up with the boss in the meeting and you're all like, hey, guys, you need to do better? What are you talking about? Hey, I have a challenge for you, Mr. and Mrs. Jamaican liaison officers. Do your job. Do your job because you get paid, and do your duty to represent properly the workers who pay you out of their pockets to do your job. Represent them and stand up for these people. And I challenge one of you in the corporate liaison office of Jamaica to speak up and speak out against what's happening inside of your own office. And once you do, I can assure you.
Fully done.